Well, hello there and welcome to my workshop. Now in this series I'm building a classical style acoustic guitar, but with a difference. I do hope you'll join me. Well, hello and welcome back to my workshop. Now it's been a couple of weeks because I've been doing a bit of home improvement, which is why I've got my old clothes on here, and I've also been doing the binding on the dolphins of this guitar, and it's taken a lot longer than I thought. Anyway, in this episode I'm hoping to be sticking the back on this guitar and sorting the neck out. We may get to the point of sticking the top on, I'm not sure, but let's get going. Okay, quick summary of what I've been doing in the meantime. Well, in the last episode I stuck the dolphins on and I put the kerfing on the back. I've now put the kerfing on the top as well, so that's all ready to go. And I've been doing the binding round these dolphins, which yeah, I'm really pleased with. So what I've done is put a light wood binding round the top, and the idea being that there's a light source coming down here lighting the top of the dolphin, and on the bottom I've put some dark Santos rosewood, which I think looks quite nice. I've just left that little piece there, and I've done the same on the other dolphin, and I think it looks all right. I wasn't quite sure where the light would strike a flipper underneath the other one, so I thought actually I'll just leave it. Yeah, so they're both done, and I've sanded it down roughly, and I've filled some of the gaps. Well, I'm going to put the top to one side for a bit because I want to concentrate on the back. Now then, when I bent these ribs, this rib at the bottom here bent absolutely fine. It was the second one I did. This was the first one I did, and it didn't bend exactly right. So these clamps are pushing it into position. Now, I'm worried that when I loosen them, it's going to go out of shape. So what I need to do is take this clamp off and put it on the top so that I can glue the back on. In fact, both of them, I've got to take them off, put them on the top so I can glue the back, and I'm hoping then the back will hold this shape. You know, the point is with my videos is I show you the whole process, warts and all. I am a novice guitar builder, and so, you know, the professionals amongst you will be pulling your hair out at this point. Anyway, let's see what happens when I loosen this all off. Some creaking going on. It's holding its shape surprisingly well. So let's lift that off. Let's just loosen it a bit more. Get that one out of there. Get this out of here. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Right. The kerfing has obviously helped to keep the whole lot in shape, which is quite good. So get this positioned correctly. Right then, well, it seems to be holding its shape. Now there is one or two perhaps places where the braces are not quite trimmed enough. I'm going to just cut that one there and cut that one there. Now hopefully you can see what I've actually done. I've trimmed the braces a bit short of the kerfing. That there, it needs to be trimmed a bit more. Somebody had pointed out that normally you would cut the kerfing to accommodate the braces, and that gives the guitar strength. And by me doing this, I've actually lost that strength. I'm going to go with it as it is, and well, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be all right personally, but let's go with it as it is. Hey look, if you're new to this series and you wonder what on earth is going on, then this is episode 11, and I've done another 10 episodes which sort of explain how I've got to this point. So if you want to pop back and look at some of those, you'll see why I'm heading down this route. Anyway, I've got this back on. I'm just going to flip this because I have no idea at the moment how I'm going to glue this down. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to do it this way round and put some pressure on the top somehow. How to do that is a good question. Okay, I've come up with an idea of how to hold this down. I'm now going to glue it up. So let's get some glue on these ribs over there. Right, not quite sure which is the best way to do this. I think probably like this. Okay. Okay, position the top. And I'm afraid this is my cunning plan. Ignore the clamps. Put that on the top there. And put 20 kilogram weight on the top of that. Oh. Okay, so it's a little unconventional, but I can see the squeeze out all the way round. So I think it's going to stick okay. We'll certainly find out. Right, well, I've cut the neck and rough sanded it. I've also had to plane the end because it wasn't quite flush, although as you can see by the shape of the guitar top there, it's going to have to be shaped. I'm wondering whether I should use this lovely piece of olive as the fretboard, because I just love the wave texture on there. Now I know it sort of clashes a bit with this, but this is going to be stained blue and this would be its natural colour, and I think that would work. So it's got a tiny bit of a twist in it, unfortunately, down this end. I'm hoping once it's glued down it's actually going to be pretty solid. This end is alright, which of course is the important end, because this has got to go over the guitar top. Anyway, we'll put that to one side. There's nothing else I can do today really, and it's getting quite late, so we're going to leave this to cure and come back to it another day. Well, hello again. Now I'm back in the workshop after another day of tiling, and I've taken the guitar out of that sort of mould, and it's got the bottom on it. You can see I'm going to have to do a bit of trimming to get it to the right size, but sounds good. It's quite lightweight, which is really nice. Wow, looking good. Okay, so now I've got to shape this back. Well, there's still a lot of work to do, but I do feel that this guitar is starting to take shape. So let's plonk the top on. Bearing in mind that's going to be stained blue. Position the neck roughly and put a bit of fretboard on. A bit too long at the moment obviously, but getting the idea. Right, now then, what's stopping me sticking the top on? I'm racking my brains on what I might have missed, because once the top's on there's not much I can do about it. But I don't think there's anything else I can do inside this guitar. I think the thing is ready for the top. And just to demonstrate, you can just see those flexing a little bit there, but I'm really pushing that hard. So I'm hoping that's going to give it strength. And once the top's on, I'm going to have even more strength. Right. Do you know what? I'm going to stick the top on. Right, well, it's been a bit of a busy day DIYing, so it's quite late, so I'm not going to risk the glue up now. But what I've been doing is just doing a test with all my clamps to see if it's going to clamp down okay. I think it will do. It looks pretty good. I know it's not perfect. I mean, when you see the professionals do this, they've got many more clamps than I've got there, but I can't see any gaps, so I'm going to come back to this another day and glue it down. Right, I'm back in the workshop and I'm going to glue this top on, but before I do that I just want to get some measurements, because I need to know where the brace is underneath the bridge. I've marked it with a China graph, but just in case it gets rubbed off, I'm going to take a few photos with a ruler. That will do nicely. Okay, I've got the clamps ready, I've got the glue ready. I've also modified this gluing table so I can get the clamps underneath it, move the legs a bit. So let's get on with it. And I think we'll do it the same way as we did the last one. Well, that's using all my big clamps, so nothing else I can do now, just wait for that to cure. I've been having some ideas about the bridge for this guitar, because I think I need to do that now, because I'll need to know the height of the bridge for the neck angle. Anyway, so my idea is to create this little boat, and this saddle effectively will be the sail. So I found this piece of ancol, and I do love this wood for bridges. It looks really lovely once it's oiled, and I think it's going to do the job. Now then, I've marked it all out, so I think the first thing I need to do is to cut this block off. I'm not quite sure at the moment how thick it needs to be, but if I cut the block off, then we can start to deal with it. Okay, well, I've just spent the last hour considering the logistics of the idea of a floating bridge. And one of the things I've got to consider is the downward pressure on the bridge. It has to be sufficient enough to keep the bridge in its position. Now, I intend to put some sort of runners underneath the bridge to stop it going from top to bottom. I want movement forwards and backwards to allow for adjustment of intonation. So all I need to make sure is that the bridge isn't going to slide forward or slide backwards on its own accord. Now, I've used my model guitar here and checked the height of the saddle there, and that's actually, well, it's about 16 or 17 mil, which is quite high. And the reason for that is that I introduced a slope into this neck by putting a shim underneath it. It's not really a conventional way of doing it, but you can see there is a shim there, and that introduces a little bit of a backward slope on it, which means that the bridge can be higher. So it got me thinking, how could I model this? Well, I've come up with this contraption. So this section here represents the body, this section here represents the neck, and this little piece here is the fretboard. And as you can see, I've got the ability to actually introduce a tilt in it, so I can see what's going on. So first things first, let's just consider the bridge. Now this piece of wood is 16mm high, and without actually introducing any slope on the neck, I can feel that it is pushing down quite hard on the top there. Now if I do introduce a bit of slope, I get a lot more pressure on that. So that's a good sign. But if I strum it, you can see, and this is a loose string, it does move, so it does need to be fixed in sort of the lateral, I presume, position. Okay, let's have a look at this next slope. This is not at all scientific, but if I pull this back, I can adjust the string so it's approximately 3mm from the top of the fretboard, which is about the action that I think I'm aiming for. So that holds that down really tightly, holds the bridge down really tightly. What it does introduce is a gap underneath the fretboard, which I think I'm going to have to fill with some sort of shim. Now normally on an electric guitar you would effectively sink the neck down, but I can't really do that on an acoustic, so the fretboard is going to have to sit above the top of the guitar, but I don't think that matters. But in terms of the amount of angle, we are looking at just about 1 degree, if that. It's really slight. So I could have just wasted the last hour, but I think it's confirmed to me that I can get away with a floating style bridge that's about 16mm high to the top of the saddle, and I'm sort of happy that that's going to work. It's also informed me that the tail stop can't really be more than about 6mm off the top of the guitar as well. So yeah, I think I'm okay with this now. So with that information, I am going to be able to start work on this, just cutting it down a bit and shaping it. I want to do wooden planks on the top there, so I've got to cut some wood there, some veneers perhaps, just to create some interest on the top of the bridge. It's going to be fun doing it, but unfortunately I'm not going to have time in this video, and that's because the top is stuck on this little beauty and I want to trim it to the size of the ribs there, so I'm going to get on and do that. Well look, I do feel like I'm making progress now. This guitar is really coming together. Got the soundbox all put together. Nice tone from that. It's not too heavy. Looking good. So it's got to be the neck and it's got to be the bridge next. I think I've got to work on the mechanics of this guitar to make sure that it's all going to work before I start adding all the trimmings. Well, thank you very much for watching again. I am juggling this build with a bit of DIY, so it's taking even longer than I thought it would, but yeah, I think it's worth spending the time on it. And I will try and get videos out regularly. Thank you very much for your comments. I do appreciate them. Some really useful stuff. And yeah, it's really helping me with this build, so appreciate that. Please don't forget to hit subscribe, and well, I'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.